My name is Jackie Westerman and I am the Home Energy Efficiency Project Officer for Argyll and Bute Council. I work as a part of a team of two with my colleague Brenda. I'm based in Campbelltown, live in Machrihanish, based in Campbelltown, and we both cover all of Argyll and Bute. We run a scheme called the Area-Based Scheme, and I'll explain why in a second. Brenda's and my role is to promote and administer a scheme offering retrofitted insulation measures into eligible homes in Argyll and Bute. Now, the reason why I'm saying eligible is that our scheme covers up to Council Tax Band D. The reason why it's only up till D is because we only have a limited amount of money, so we have to stop somewhere. However, what our scheme can't do, Home Energy Scotland can pick up the difference from there. So if we can't help you, there's always a man who can. We make all our referrals through Home Energy Scotland. So if you phone us and we're not the right place, the referral won't just stop, they will take you through to the next scheme that suits and the next scheme that suits. It's a very one-stop shop for everybody. We would love to be able to do everything, but we just don't have the money to do it. As I mentioned before, the scheme is called Energy Efficient Scotland Area-Based Scheme, and it's called ABS for short, ABS. All local authorities in Scotland can make an application to the Scottish Government for funding for the scheme. Our scheme differs to other local authorities because Argyll and Bute, as you'll know, doesn't own our own housing stock. So we work on a house-by-house basis, which gives us a huge advantage because people that are coming to us already know that they want the insulation. They're not having it foisted on them by a landlord, because some people don't want it for any number of reasons. The huge advantage, I say, is that people now come to us and know that they want this, and then we'll talk them through. Councils who have their own stock will find that they lack customer engagement, that they can't spend the money, but we feel as Argyll and Bute Council, if the Scottish Government's going to give us £2 million for something, we're dashed well taking it. So we want to make sure that as much money is spent in Argyll and Bute. Our scheme covers all the way from Call through to us here in Cardross, Stroke Helensburgh, Cove, Rue, and that we've got such a wide remit. Brenda and I pride ourselves on that it doesn't matter where you live in Argyll and Bute, you will get the same service. Ferries allowing, weather allowing, but that's the plan for this scheme. Our biggest challenge is that we have real trouble making people believe that there are free grants. So our grants range from £9,000 up to £13,500. These are free grants, they're not secured on your property, they're not repayable, and most importantly, they're not means tested. So it doesn't matter what your income is, it doesn't matter what your circumstances are, you will get the grant if you are eligible for it. And as I say, if you're not eligible for our scheme, there is every chance that you'll be eligible for a different scheme. That's okay, that's all right. And part of our role is to make sure, as I say, that if you don't fit our scheme, we'll try and direct you on to someone else. We'll never just put the phone down and say you don't. So we'll always try and help. The budget amount for this year is, I say, just £3 short of £2 million. I don't know why they just didn't give us £2 million. We battle daily against misinformation, like it's got to be the whole house, it's got to be this. Each home is unique and each home is surveyed for its uniqueness. Again, as I've mentioned, geography is no barrier to households applying and having works carried out timelessly. We work in conjunction with Home Energy Scotland. They are our referral partner. So that if you're coming to them, then as I say, you'll get put down the correct route for you. What they'll also do is they'll give you a really helpful energy efficiency chat. And I'm knowing my audience here. I'm looking at the female to women ratio because I don't know what it's like in my house, but my husband will say, this house is freezing, it's freezing, and it's not freezing. And then he'll go and put one sock in the washing machine, and then he'll go and fill up the kettle full. So they go over everything like that for you. And I'm generalising, but I think in majority of houses that's what it's like. The programme is open to homeowners and to private rented tenants. And Argyll and Bute Council gained special permission to open up the scheme to a wider audience due to our very unique geographical location, and by extending what we call the fuel poor criteria. So the scheme at its heart is a carbon reduction scheme. That was the intent by the Scottish Government, to give all the councils money to reduce carbon. But it's very quickly in the last few years become a fuel poverty scheme with a view to reducing energy bills. Because I think no matter how wealthy or not we are, everyone has seen their electricity bills going up 3, 4, 5-fold over the last few years. As I mentioned, the premise of this scheme is to contribute towards the government's target of net zero by 2040. And our scheme is to retrofit insulation measures into homes. It's called Fabric First, because you can have a fancy air source heat pump, you can have a fancy gas boiler, but if your house is not insulated, you might as well just throw fivers out the window. So they've got to work together, they've got to work in conjunction so that both are doing their job correctly. As we mentioned, fuel poverty has become such a main issue, and even though, as I say, we are a carbon reduction, we're very aware that it's got to be a dual benefit to people. The grants are means tested, start at £9,000 for a flat, and up to £13,500 for a detached property. Plus, if you live in an island, you'll get another uplift. If you're classed as extreme fuel poor, which is not entirely a reflection on your income, it can be on geography. For example, anyone who doesn't have mains gas is automatically classed as fuel poor, according to the Scottish Government statistics. So it's not a scheme where we say, how much do you earn, what are your outgoings? A lot of it's dependent on your geography and where you are. Additional grants are available of £5,000 for households who are in extreme fuel poor. And so there are things, for example, if you are trying to get a measure completed, but you need some minor repair work done to do that, we can also offer 10% of the grant towards repairs. So where in the past people have said, I can't get that done because my render's cracking or I've got a bit missing off my eaves, then we can help towards that. We can help in some way. We don't have an endless pot, but we can help in some way towards that to facilitate the installation taking place. In addition, if you are looking at internal wall insulation, we've got a modest contingency and we can offer a £750 grant. So for example, internal wall insulation, which goes on the inside, people go, oh my goodness, I'm going to be, I need to redecorate. So there's grants. So what I'm trying to, in roundabout ways, that we'll always try and get this over the line. We'll always try and insulate your home if we possibly can. In general, the grant will cover all of the works. It's very rarely that very rarely customers have to put a contribution over and above the grant. That's very rare. However, if you've got a very large house or a very complex house, or you've put on 6 extensions at different angles, then sometimes it can cost a bit more. But with any of our schemes, there is no obligation. So if you go through, again, with Home Energy Scotland, with our ABS scheme, there is no obligation at any point. So if you get a surveyor out, they come back and say, well, your grant's 13.5, we need £500 to get it, which is very rare, but we need it. Then you can decide at that point, actually, no, I don't want to go ahead with this because I don't have £500 in my back pocket to get this done. Or we can tailor the insulation measures to suit the grant. So as I said before, we're always trying to get this over the line. We're always trying to make this work, because a little insulation is better than none at all. The insulation type depends on the type of property and is determined by the surveyor. Brenda and I have a smattering of knowledge about this, but we rely very much on our surveyors. In addition, the survey's free, the energy performance rating's free. There is no obligation at any point of the scheme to go ahead. We offer external wall insulation, which is what you see. I think some of the ACA houses have had it done recently, that the render on the outside, which makes it look very pretty and very nice, but it's an insulation scheme. It's not a making your house pretty scheme, but sometimes we can do that as well. We offer internal wall insulation, cavity wall insulation, which is not wool. A lot of old ex-local authority houses might find that you've got the wool in your cavity and it comes out as a fibre. That's not done anymore, because it was right at the time, but it's not right anymore. So we don't offer that anymore. We do offer a more modern style of cavity wall insulation. We can look at loft insulation, both new and top-up, and we can look at underfloor insulation. And what we are unique in Argyll and Bute, because we have what we call Argyll story-and-a-half houses, the ones where the bedrooms are in the loft as such. We can offer room and roof insulation, because a lot of companies can't do that because of the style of the house. As I hear today, as we've seen, we like to talk to as many people as we can about the scheme, and we regularly attend events or meetings to further promote the scheme. If you're part of a community group, if you're part of a WI, anything, and you want us to come and talk, please let us know. We're more than happy to come by Zoom, by Teams, in person, to send leaflets, etc., because the more we can get this out, the better. But I hope what you've got from this is that we'll always try and do something rather than do nothing at all. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you. I hope you can still hear me. Thank you. But the reason we refer you to Home Energy Scotland as a referral partner is that if your circumstances, if your home don't meet our scheme, then they'll pass you, they'll look at criteria for a different scheme, or for another scheme from there, so that you're not just coming to us and we say, no, you don't fit our criteria, thanks very much, and we put the phone down. They can look at, all the other grants that are available in Scotland at the time. Generally, while I said geography isn't an issue, mainland, you will be looking at, if you phone Home Energy Scotland today, you'll be referred to the council on a Wednesday. We've got all our referrals in on a Wednesday. We will check that you're eligible, that you're eligible for the scheme. We will contact our contractors, who we have one contractor. We don't take somebody from Helensburgh over to Call, or somebody from Isla over to Cardross. We have one contractor who covers all our area, and they have an obligation to carry out a survey within 14 days. So you will get that survey within that time. Obviously, depending on weather, depending on different things. But that is their indicator to do that. It doesn't always work out, because a van could break down, or the roads are flooded, or the roads are closed, or whatnot. But generally, we'll get it done within 14 days. If you're looking at a measure, for example, like external wall insulation, that needs planning permission, which they'll do all for you. But I don't know if anyone's heard the stories about Argyll and Bute Council Planning Department, who I do not work for, but I think they're a wee bit behind in where they are. But generally what will happen is, if you're going through the scheme, you'll have my number, my direct line, you'll have my colleague Brenda's direct line, you'll have BC's direct line, so you can say, look, where are we in this? We can find out for you. And that's what we do. That's our job, is to communicate all through this. So, yes. We do extract and refill, yes, aye. So if there is wool in, you might have noticed, I don't know if anyone lives in an ex-authority house, you'll have noticed that quite often there'll be a layer of damp around the bottom of the rooms. And that's because the wool has, over years, it's dropped and it's got wet, and it's causing that dampness around there. So whatever you do, you want to get that out because that's causing dampness to your home. And then it's replaced with, you called it something else, I would call it a bonded bead system, and that's injected into the house and it's built up, it's bonded with a special glue, it's still breathable, it's still, it's still malleable, it can be removed when something even better comes along in 20 years' time. But yes, we'll do an extract and refill. As I say, we'll always try and make things happen than try and not make things happen. We'll always try and make insulation work. So, yes. So Andy works for Home Energy Scotland. We're just a referral partner of Home Energy Scotland. Some schemes, Andy will come to your home, and carry out. Some schemes, ours will, and that will be determined by your circumstances, by your council tax band, etc., etc. But I say we'll never try and not take you, through something. We'll always try and get something to fit. But yes, absolutely, the survey, there's no cost for the survey, there's no cost for the energy performance certificate, which will all be done at the same time. And your actual, your EPC, your energy performance certificate, actually goes online. So it's available to you to download after that. You can get a copy of it. But yes, at any point, if you get a quote and you think, actually, I live in Inverary Castle and they want me to spend £10,000 over and above this, and you think, no, I don't want to do it, then again, stop at that point. There's no charge up until that point. So it's trying to encourage us. When people tell me their council tax band, I always say there's only one council tax band at NH, and that's Inverary Castle. So we know it's not that one. So yes, but as I say, even if you don't think that, you need insulation, maybe in a modern house and it's been insulated, if you've got half an hour one day on a rainy, wet day and you're not going anywhere, phone Home Energy Scotland, because they will go through, do you put one, and they'll give you some really good hints and tips. And we all think Brenda and I think we're really clever at this because we do this every day. And then you go, actually, I didn't think about that. So that's what they're not just there to take referrals. They are an energy advice service. So if for any reason we can't take you through, then you get a really, really helpful person at the end of the phone. And our contact centre is in Inverness. So they get what it's like in the West Coast. They're not stuck in Glasgow and they can hop in a bus and go into town and they live in a high-rise flat and it's lovely and warm because they steal everybody else's heating. They get what it's like in the West Coast. They get what it's like living in a climate like ours, a wet, damp climate like ours. So yeah, and they're great. They're great.